Hello, everyone.
Oh, do we have music? We don't have music to dance to
We
this
were supposed to, I thought the music was supposed
What
to
about the
start.
intro?
Where's that intro? Okay,
morning?
let's find that intro. Here's the intro. Hello and welcome.
Good morning,
Welcome again.
everyone.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, my bad. Azure set it up so when you press go live, the music would actually automatically start, but there must have been a checkbox that got unchecked by mistake.
Right.
Yes,
We're all still on a learning curve with
We're
that.
still on a learning curve. So
Improvement.
and we can't start. We can't start if we don't dance.
we have to do a little dance, to get.
I learned that from Max.
From Mags, that's right. So we're missing Mags again this
Yes.
week, so we're sad about that.
Mhm.
And I missed you guys all last Sorthathon weekend, so I hope you guys had a great time. I'm pretty sure you did.
We did.
Yes.
Greg, how was the conference?
The conference.
Yes, tell us everything.
So we Mags and I were both in Baltimore for the East Coast Genetic Genealogy Conference, which was a hybrid conference, and I was the main guy in charge of all the technology and making sure that worked. And we did it last year for the first time. It was live. It's the third year it's done. The first year was all virtual. Last year was the first year we tried hybrid. And from the technical point of view, it was very stressful. Things did not work right. But this year, everything went smoothly, and it was such a really
Hey, you got all the bugs worked out.
We got most of the bugs. Yeah.
Good.
Well, one of them was to hire someone to specifically look after making sure the video and the audio was working, which was where I was slipping up on, and then that left me free to deal with all the other little things that happen and whatnot.
I see.
It was very good, and we had some WikiTreeers there in person, so that was very nice. Yeah.
And did you
it is because it's
sessions?
What's that?
Did you get to attend sessions too?
Well, I was in the auditorium, which was one of the two live venues. So I got to attend all of those ones because I was there to make sure that everything was working smoothly through them. So there was some amazing presentations. So and because it was hybrid, the virtual conference is still accessible. So you could actually sign up, register, and you can view the recordings from now until the end of December. So something to consider. Anyways, that was great. But and the Storython, how did your teams do?
The Newts had a really good time, and we had a pre-thon meeting and talk strategy, and we had a hangout in the middle of the thon, and it was a smallish team, like 16 of us, but we had a really good time, and you could tell people were learning, and we almost cracked 1,000. I mean, I know the Newts are not about points, but I was really proud.
Wow, what a great team. They're doing great.
Very impressive.
Yeah, we did well with the Globetrotters. But we did good. 4th in our division. Almost 3rd. Almost.
Oh, awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, Mags isn't here, so I'll say hi to everyone. We have Amanda from Melbourne's here. Audrey, how you doing? Anne Fiordalisi is here. Ozzy, and scrolling down, Judith Fry from Kentucky. Lynn, Lynn from Baltimore, Maryland. It is Thanksgiving weekend in Canada. Thank you for mentioning that. Yes.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, we're looking forward to it. We're actually having our get together with our family tomorrow, Sunday afternoon, because it makes it easier if they have to drive back. But Klaus Jensen is here. Chris Berriolo, how you doing, Chris? Willadine is here. Crystal J. Murray, how you doing, Murray from Collingwood?
Hey.
And scrolling down, John Tyner, hello from Wexford. That's where my neck of the woods, my Douglases came from. Veg Beauty is here. Yoke is here. Mary Sleppy was one of the ones who joined us at the conference last week.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Denise Jarrett. In fact, Mary came early to help out. So she was stuffing conference bags and doing stuff that was great. Denise, I said hello. And then Kathy Nava is here as well. So
Hey,
Hi,
Kathy.
Kathy.
we have a great group this morning. And hello to everyone who's watching this after the fact on recording. So we appreciate you as well.
Wonderful. Well, we are going to continue and to mix it up. We're going to start with photos today.
Ooh.
Yeah. So let me share my screen and see where I'm going. The theme for October. Can you all see my screen now?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Is family reunion. So we have 3 photos to look at. This is contributed by Alexis Nelson, and that's Alexis standing in behind, along with her great uncle and aunt. The photo was taken in Sand Springs, Oklahoma, June 5th, 1994. And her great aunt is Phoebe Hope Fellison, and her great uncle is Robert Long. And this was the last large reunion of the Long family. Robert came from California. Phoebe came from Missouri. They were both very kind and loving, and she misses them. Reunions are so special. She looks so happy. What a
Oh,
sweet.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Alexis. This was contributed by, let's see, 2 photos from Klaus Janssen.
Chat.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Hey. So this is his mother on her 80th birthday, November 16th, 1991, with all 3 children and all 9 grandchildren. It was evenly split, he said. He and his sisters each have 3 children, but that's where it stopped. Now only my sisters do have the grandchildren. 11 and 5, 2 more expected this month. So this is, I love this photo.
Very nice.
Yeah, so sharp and clear.
Yeah.
Yes, I was impressed by the quality. But
Right.
what year is that from?
1990.
That is not 1991. No,
It
that's
is
the one below.
Oh, wait. I'm so sorry. This is 1950. The photo of the complete family, Rufina Schiffman, at their 50th wedding day, September 8th, 1950. And oh yes, the younger generation is still complete, and they are between 77 and 91 now.
So those are the 9 grandchildren.
Yeah. No.
I love the math. 3 children, 3 children each, so 3 squared, your grandchildren. Very cool.
I tried. There was a cube in the stats last weekend. I pointed it out in your.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No, I'm so sorry, Klaus, to have mixed these up. So the 9 grandchildren is in the next photo, and
so he must be one of those boys then, right?
Perhaps. But these youngest members are.
Oh, he said his wife is the only one on both photos.
Oh, wife. Okay.
And then this must be the grandmother's it's because it was a wedding, a wedding, celebrating a wedding day, anniversary. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, lovely. And then this one is the one from 1991, and that makes more sense. His mother on her 80th birthday, all 3 children and all 9 grandchildren.
Okay.
Yeah. It's actually so cool to see, these are 41 years apart, but roughly the same number of people, family, I think, same branches, and it's neat to see them side by side. So thank you, Klaus. And then let's see, this is from Yoke.
Nice.
I don't think my family has ever had an actual reunion. Me too. Same here. Birthdays, weddings, and funerals kind of fulfill the function. Here is a picture of the 50th wedding anniversary of my grand aunt and uncle. It's Bernard Hoppenbauer and Marie Wienendahl, sister of her grandfather, in 1976. So we've got, two sisters of her grandfather, and then the couples are from left to right, her grandfather and husband, the 50th wedding anniversary couple right here.
Nice.
Yeah, and then her grandparents. So thank you, Yoke.
Nice.
Yes. So let me go back to, there we go. So we have, today's the 12th. We have 19 and 26. We've got 2 more Saturdays in October. So post those reunion photos. I know you have them. Let's see. So celebrate your ancestor. First of all, is Marty Frank in the chat by any chance?
I don't think I
Haven't
saw
seen
Marty.
Okay. Well, belated happy anniversary to Marty and her partner. Her wedding anniversary was on October 5th. So last weekend when we were thawing. So. And so Alexis gave us a profile to celebrate. So this is her great-grandfather, Thomas Luther Lovelace. And his birthday is tomorrow, October 13th, 1848. He enlisted in the Union Army when he was only 14. And as someone who spends a lot of time with 14-year-olds, I mean, that just really blows my mind. Wow. And he served for 3 years, 1862 to 65. He was in the G Company, 11th Pennsylvania Cavalry, and he was wounded at Chapin's Farm near the Appomattox Courthouse. He married Laura McCullough in 1873, and she died at age 30. It sounds like it might have been related to childbirth. He remained a widower and was buried with her 43 years after her death. So here is the profile, and I love what Alexis has done here. The background is this the GAR veteran medallion. Yeah, I mean, what
awesome.
Yeah, it's
neat.
beautiful. So, let's see. Basically the same thing in the first paragraph. They had five children, and Alexis's grandfather was the youngest surviving child. And he was only 5 when his mother died. Thomas was a carpenter, and he was a commander. So this says GAR Veteran Medallion, which stands for Grand Army of Republic, composed of Union soldiers.
I was wondering.
Yes, yeah. And he was a charter member of Lodge 679. And then she's also got, I assume that these are original copies that Alexis had in her files, his obituary, and this fantastic photo.
Nice.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Alexis, and happy birthday a day early to your great grandfather. Okay. So question of the week. Are we ready, Vicki?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Go. Let's go.
Here we go. Question of the week is, what religions did your ancestors practice? And this is wow. Vicki, I don't know what you read, but in my half, it was just amazing. I mean, there was one religion denomination that I had to look up. I had never heard of it. So I learned some things. There was huge variety, and also some amazing stories. Of course, the reason that genealogists would be particularly interested in this question is that hopefully your ancestors might have been part of a religion that was good at record keeping.
Yeah.
And so you might be able to find lots of family information in, registers of baptisms and burials and such. And also, I was really struck by how religion impacted migration, and how it could have, influenced your family, moving halfway across the world. So let's see what we've got here. Best answer selected by Gail Walker was from Kathleen Healy. My ancestors, for the most part, on both sides were Catholic. She had a few French Huguenots, but the ones who migrated to Quebec ended up converting back to Catholicism. Maybe they decided it was just easier.
Just give in.
So there's a whole spectrum of responses to your societal influences. Brenda Millage said mostly they were Church of England. One surprise I found was my paternal grandmother's family, coming from England in about 1911, showed on the passenger list a Society of Friends, i.e. Quakers. It wasn't likely that they were pretending. It wasn't like they were pretending to fit in, as people on either side of them on the list, a majority, were Church of England. So that's a mystery. That would nag at me, like, why did you? And then on a later census, they showed as Church of England. Anonymous Wimble tells us, I have a wide range of religions that my ancestors practiced. Some of my relatives were Methodist, Church of England. I even have some Quaker missionary ancestors. My fifth great-grandmother, Emily Sutherland, and her husband were some of the first Mormon converts in Australia. Then they went over to America in 1853, but returned to Australia just 3 years later. I wonder what the story was. Yeah. And I wonder where in America they went. I didn't have time to go to the profiles, so maybe the story is there. Lars van de Heide says almost all Dutch Protestantism, some were Mennonites, which means that there are hardly ever any records available. I'm sorry, Lars. That's unlucky. Some couples from the southern Netherlands were Catholic, and two couples, both from Amsterdam, were Jewish. He had some ancestors who were pastors. In bonus, a cousin of my great-grandfather married Lambert Slok, who was the founder and religious leader of the Apostolic Society in the Netherlands.
Wow, that's new.
Yeah. Pip Shepard said most of my ancestors were either Scots Presbyterian for German Reform or German Reformed. His Scots ancestors founded 3 of the 7 sisters. These were Presbyterian churches founded early on in the settlement of Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. And then 12 of my ancestors and hundreds of other relatives were buried at a slightly later founded church, Paw Creek Presbyterian, near where he grew up. So, yeah, I mean, this is why we do cemetery categories, right? Because families flock together in cemeteries. Rob Neff says, on my dad's side, they were Anabaptists, a group including the Amish and Mennonites. However, my family was in the EUB, Evangelical United Brethren. They came to the U.S. and kept their religion, but eventually the EUB church merged with the Methodists and became United Methodists, which today is a pretty mainstream Protestant branch. Weird to think that some little decision way back, and instead of being Methodist today, we could have been Mennonite or even Amish. You can see that I had kind of a hard time.
Yeah.
These interesting ones. Victor Rose. Is Victor in the chat this morning?
I haven't seen good morning or good time of day. Good time zone.
Well, perhaps you're watching this on the replay, Victor.
Yeah.
He doesn't have much evidence, but several of my direct lines are not the oldest children of their families, which means that they probably didn't get family Bibles and that sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah. But he knows that there are several on his mom's side that were reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And apparently there are a lot of records over in Kansas City, Missouri. Dad's side, most of them that I know of went to small country churches in southeast Illinois, southwest Indiana. So let's see. That might be it for this one. Maybe this is two more on this page. Bonnie Day says, this really isn't an easy one. My adopted parents raised me as an Irish Roman Catholic. I'm pretty sure much of the family was Catholic. As you go backwards on her adopted dad's side, you run into Puritans with ties to Salem. Her biological family was a mishmash, religiously speaking. There's Latter-day Saint representation there, and then she has a Southern Baptist with with a nephew who is a holy roller, and Mennonites, Quakers, and these Fox sisters who were well-known spiritualists. So very, very fascinating there. And she also says, I also have African in my genetic makeup, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was some African spirituality mixed into this pile. Then Me Westberg says, my ancestors were either indigenous religions like shamanic traditions, animistic traditions, or folklore traditions. This was the one that I had to look up. This, I don't know, how do we say this?
What's the first letter? In that?
L.
L.
Laestadianism.
Laestadianism, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, and interestingly, this is from Scandinavia. It is related to Lutheranism, but distinct. And anyway, Me has some connections with this, and yeah. So that was my learning for the day.
Wow.
Thank you.
It's a wide range. I was impressed by all the different religions and cults.
I know. Page 2, Anonymous Sharky says, as an adoptee, this has taken much researching, but it seems that most of my ancestors on both sides were Roman Catholics with priests and nuns in abundance. And there seemed to be several spouses who were persuaded to become Catholic in order that the intended marriage could take place. Yeah, that happened a lot.
That was a thing.
Doug McCown says, in my ancestry, many Christian-based faiths are represented. In early colonial family, Puritans, Huguenots, Quakers, and Presbyterians are most abundant. Later, most were Methodists and Baptists. My second great grandparents named all their male children after Methodist leaders. And some of his great uncles were Methodist ministers. So yeah, very, very deep roots there in that denomination. Where do I begin? I promise I won't read this, but this was fascinating to me. Bill Hull starts talking about the Southwicks in New England, and I'm actually doing a little research for a family friend on Lawrence and Cassandra Southwick.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they so the family friend is descended from them, and they were Quakers who they were persecuted very tragically for their faith and for standing by their beliefs. And so it looks like Bill has a marriage connection to them. Congregational churches, but as a teenager, his dad's mother may have been part of the Salvation Army. He has a photo of his grandmother holding a cymbal with her little brother to her side and their father balancing a guitar on his leg. Anglican, Methodist, Presbyterian. So all over the place, and Universalist. Linda Bodie says, my ninth great-grandfather, Roger Williams, founder of Providence Plantations, pioneer in religious liberty from the Puritans, is now known as the father of separation of church and state. And then my mother's father's ancestors were staunch Catholics who were first founders of St. Mary's, Maryland, after the Jacobite Rebellion and the Battle of Boyne. They were loyalists to King James. So, let's see. In the 1700s, Carolyn Simon, I've seen information from the 1700s for Presbyterian and Methodist. My grandfather was a Baptist preacher on Sunday and a farmer during the week. That happened a lot. Janet Demko, this is the second to last one. Janet Demko says, my father's family were Quakers and Presbyterians. Mom's side was mostly non-denominational or whatever church was near the home when needed. That happened too. The mountain folks in early Maryland and the Virginias took whatever came along. And then, let's see, this is from Marion Surity. I don't know Hebrew. I don't know what those letters. Is that maybe a greeting of some sort?
What's N something? What's
maybe.
up?
If somebody knows, please tell us in the chat.
Yes. Whoa. I don't want to print it. No, I do not. Enlarge it.
Not right now.
Just slightly so that everybody can see. So Marion said she has Roman Catholics and Anglicans, and her father became Methodist, but his Black ancestors from Togo and Benin practiced voodoo. And her mother's side is just as complicated. What we know on both sides not only comes from family records, but also from DNA. Going back earlier than the 16th century, probably about 15th century on the maternal line, the mtDNA indicates Jewish ancestry to include Mizrahi and Sephardic markers, as well as one Ashkenazi marker. So, and she goes on to talk about the migration patterns that were influenced, that played into this. And this is probably how my maternal ancestors, who can be traced with genealogy, came to reside among the Huguenot French Protestants. She talks about the crypto Jews, hidden, people who hid their Jewish faith and just tried to blend in. So very, very, very fascinating. And Marion converted to Judaism long before she knew anything about my mtDNA results. She said a result that was all but predicted by a Chabad rabbi in 1972. No, you can't make up any stuff. Fascinating. Yeah. Thank you, Marion.
Very cool.
And it's my turn?
Yes.
Okay, I selected a few.
There was one comment from Amanda that I thought was interesting. She went to service. She went to Salvation Army some weeks, and then opposite that to the Anglicans the other week, depending on which one she was having a fight with. No, actually, that wasn't Amanda herself. That was her elderly great a relative who remembers her great grandmother.
Yeah,
so her great grandmother who switched back and forth from Salvation Army to Anglicans, depending on. I thought that was very
fun. Good one. So you're seeing my screen, right?
No,
I'm not seeing you.
We will once I hit edge of the stage. There we go.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.
Okay. We have Greg Engelsman. He says, my great-grandfather Johannes Engelsman immigrated from Groningen, Holland, and studied at the Western Theological Seminary in Holland, Michigan, right? After he, am I
Michigan? Correct.
Okay. After he graduated, he became a Dutch Reformed Church pastor in Iowa, Wisconsin, and back to Holland, Michigan. And what a coincidence, going to Holland, Michigan from Holland, the
Holland.
Netherlands.
Yeah, that's right. That's wild.
Deborah again says mostly atheist and agnostic. That's why I selected it, because we were talking about religions, and
Yes.
we have to see every side.
Mhm.
Although there are a few cardinals and reverends throughout.
Ooh. Really canceling each other out.
Yeah, to make some equilibrate. How do you say that? Well,
equilibrium.
Thank you. Firstly, Ron Bunting says basically every ancestor was Christian, but there was a twist. That's what I wanted you to know. My mother's father was full-blood Maori. This is a new one. The only Maori person I've ever knew who could say that he had no European blood whatsoever. His grandfather was noted chief who became unpopular in his later years for advocating peace and Christianity. So his religion could be described as a form of paganism. Okay, so the Maori vision.
From New Zealand.
Yes, yeah.
Did I say the name? Ron Bunting. Then Chris Shearer says, my mother was raised Southern Baptist and my father Danish Lutheran. They converted to Episcopal, and that's how I was raised. My husband's paternal side is Mormon, and he has many Mormon pioneers in his family. A wide variety. Elaine Abrams says, my ancestors were all Jewish as far back as I know, at least in 18th century, Poland, Belarus, and Lithuania. And Maggie Church, that's why I selected her. Maggie Church.
Oh,
come on.
Great name for the question of the week.
For the question of the week.
Love
My
it.
mom was a Jehovah's Witness. Her mom and dad are Methodist. Don't know about any others. I think we haven't mentioned Jehovah's Witness.
No, that's the first time that's come up.
Yeah. And that's for this page. Next page. I selected Chris Wine. This is a good one. My dad, this is a funny story. My dad didn't go to church until he met my mom. That is when he became a Christian Eastern Orthodox priest. He became a priest.
Wow.
For the Carpatho Church in Johnstown, PA.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. So was my grandmother on my mom's side. And that's it. We had 63 answers. So we tried to select a few one.
That's great.
For you.
I tell you, it makes for great reading. So I encourage everybody to go check them out, get a cup of tea or coffee and read them and upvote them.
Oh,
so
thank
Ozzy
you.
tells us that symbol that was on top of that one post.
Marian's, yes.
Yeah. Besiyata Dishmayo. Dishmayo? A phrase which means the help of heaven. So thank you very much, Ozzy, for pointing that out. That's very cool.
With the help of heaven. Beautiful.
Cool. Is it time for the profiles?
I think it is.
Okay. We're moving it around, and I thought, where's the cheat sheet of what the order we're doing in now? But okay. So profiles of the week. So I missed you guys last week, and no one was here doing the roundup. So we missed all of the profiles from last week. So we sort of have 2 weeks worth of profiles to catch up on. But because even a single week takes a long time for me to get through, I don't want to leave the profiles from last week in the dust and forget about them. So my plan is we're going to go through all the Italian profiles, and just so I can basically say their names. And then we'll focus on this week's actual profiles of the week. So last week, the profiles of the week, or the connection checkers game, was all about Italian roots, trying to find who you're most closely connected to. And we have a huge range of Italians to choose from. And starting with, and some of these have great names that you probably wouldn't have guessed. So I was playing Guess Who This Famous Person Really Is last night with my wife. So I read her the whole name. And she says, what? Rodolfo Alfonso Raffaello Pier Filiberto Guglielmi di Valentina d'Antonguola.
Wow.
Wow.
It just, Italian is such a gorgeous language.
Oh, it's a beautiful language. Just flows off the tongue.
I know.
Lovely. But more popularly known as Rudolph Valentino, or even Rudy Valentino. Yes. Of course,
Rodolfo. In Spanish.
Rodolfo. Yeah.
Rodolfo Valentino. Yes.
Yeah. Rodolfo Valentino. Yes. Of course, you would know him as Rodolfo Valentino, not. So yeah, Italian-American silent film actor, starred in several well-known movies and whatnot. Sadly, yeah, he was a film star, and this is a great profile. There's lots of cool stuff in the background. There's a picture of him there, sort of smoldery, like, and I think there was another picture of here with him, someone else. But he died very young. He was only 31 years old when he passed away. So I thought, what the heck is that? Turns out he had a perforated ulcer. They thought it was appendicitis, so he was operated on for that. But eventually, but he got sepsis, and so basically that's what it was that felled him so young at so young an age. Just too bad. Moving on to the next one. Oh, so here's his his Wikipedia page with some more information with lots of stuff there. Francis Albert Sinatra, Frank Sinatra, Old Blue Eyes, born on the 12th of December 1915 in Hoboken, New Jersey, passed away in 98, 14th of May 1998 at the age of 82 in West Hollywood. Notable Italian, very famous, of course, singer, actor, married to Ava Gardner and Mia Farrow, and then Barbara Marx at the end.
I like how Blue Eyes
is
in his list of names.
Yeah, that's right. Old Blue Eyes, chairman of the board. That was the other. Very cool. Then we move on to Martin Scorsese, son of Luciano Charles Scorsese and Catherine Capa. Of course, American filmmaker, received many accolades, including an Academy Award, 4 BAFTA Awards, that's the British American Film Television Awards, 3 Emmy Awards, a Grammy, and 3 Golden Globes. Born in 1942 in New York City in November. Went to a Catholic, speaking of religion, went to a Catholic high school, all boys Catholic high school, Cardinal Hayes High School. And then it lists some of the movies that he was in. And he is still living, so he is. Then we have Maffeo Barberini, who is also known as Pope Urban VIII. So he was the Pope. He succeeded Gregory XV and was then he was followed by Innocent X. But he was Pope between 1623 and 1644. So we're going way back in time. Born in the Duchy of Florence, and of course died in Rome in the Papal States. As most popes do, they die in office. It's only recently that actually abdicating was something that the last couple modern popes decided to do. So, patron of the arts, he was a patron for Caravaggio, Bernini, Poussin. So that's quite a contribution. Anyways, and then there's some more details there, of course. And there is, in fact, even a Pope's project on WikiTree.
Oh, well, that doesn't surprise me. We have so many amazing category projects that,
Umberto Nicola Tommaso Giovanni Marias de Savoie. And if you don't know that name, it's actually he's King Umberto Nicola Tommaso Giovanni Maria de Savoie. And his claim to fame is he is the final king of Italy. So Italy had kings up until 1946, and then after that, no more. It's now a republic. But his father was the famous Victor Emmanuel, or one of the Victor Emmanuels, the third. And Victor Emmanuel actually abdicated in favor of his son. But his son really had a very short reign as king. He was only king from the 9th of May to the 12th of June. So barely over a month.
Sweet.
So I don't know. Victor Emmanuel, what did you think? I'll get out while the getting's good. That's kind of cheap, but
I'll get the coronation and then bye-bye.
yeah, that's right. There we go. And apparently a distant cousin of mine. Wow, through a French line. Interesting. Guglielmo Giovanni Maria Marconi, who was born in Bologna in 25th of April, 1874, passed away in Rome at the age of 63 in 1937. And of course, this is Marconi, the Italian inventor, electrical engineer, known for pioneering work on long-distance radio, the telegraph, and Marconi's law, which is used in electronics. He also shared the Nobel Prize in physics for contributions to the development of the wireless telegraphy. And then we have Sofia Ciclone, more popularly known as Sophia Loren. So her maiden name, her daughter of Riccardo Ciclone and Romilda Villani, but she changed her name, and this is actually her WikiTree profile is very short, but the Wikipedia article, of course, is very fulsome, and in it credits her one of her husband, Carlo Ponti, suggested that she change her name so that it would have more of an appeal to a wider audience. And so he changed her name to Sophia Loren because it sort of matched the name of a famous Swedish actress at the time, Marta Torén. So that's an interesting piece of trivia there, I thought. Then we have Gaetano Alberto Lombardo. And this is our Canadian content for the Italian week, because Gaetano Alberto Lombardo is famously known as Guy Lombardo. He was born in London, Ontario, Canada. He's a Canadian, but he was an American band leader, violinist, and apparently hydroplane racer. He and his band, and there's a picture of he and his band, were very popular. But one of the most popular things that I remember is he had a famous New Year's Eve party that was always televised on TV.
Oh.
And he'd always ring in the new year by playing Old Lang Syne from his band, and he would conduct that and stuff. And so that was one thing that we always watched on New Year's Eve. Guy Lombardo, the Canadian. Yeah. And his New Year's Eve show. Stefano Casiraghi. Now, this is the one I did not know before, but he was born on the 8th of September in 1960 in Como, in the Provincia di Como, Lombardia, Italia, and died young at the age of 30, 3rd of October. So he would have fit the profile of the month because of October. And he passed away in France, Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat, Département des Alpes-Maritimes, Provence, Alpes-Côte d'Azur, in France. So he was a businessman and financier, married to the Princess Caroline of Monaco, involved in boat racing. And unfortunately, he was defending his title when he died in a boat racing accident off the coast of Monaco. So that's how he passed away so young. Married to royalty, but passed away in a boat racing. That's too bad. Yeah, we'll go from there. Next, we have Francesco Rosario Capra, Order of the British Empire, or Frank Capra, filmmaker, Italian-born American film director, producer, writer, involved in major award-winning films of the 30s and 40s. Lucrezia Borgia, another famous Italian. We're going way back in time for her. In 1480, born in Subiaco in the Stato Pontifico, the pontifical states or the papal states, and passed away at the age of 39 in the Ducato di Ferrara, the Dukedom of Ferrara, I guess, in 1519. So a beauty of the Renaissance, and anyways, there's lots here about the the Borgia family and her parts in it, and many interesting twists and turns. And the last Italian profile from last week was Pasquale Eliardi, born in the 1970s, still alive, born to Marco Eliardi and Eleftheria Andrianopoulos. He's noted for playing the role of J.D. Salinas in Resident Evil, on the European side of things. He's appeared in several movies and plays. He's also known for singing and playing various instruments such as the piano. So those are your Italian profiles of the week from last week.
Nice.
And then this week's profiles are all about the Puritan connections.
And regretfully,
you have to go.
I have to take my leave. But at least I got through the Italian
You got through the Italians. There we go.
Yes.
What's up with the Puritans on the replay? All right. Have a good rest of the
Have a great day,
LiveCast.
Betsy.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah. So for the Puritans and the Puritan Great Migration, excuse me, we've talked about the Puritans before. And interestingly enough, there is a Puritan project, of course, the Puritan Great Migration Project on WikiTree, but there's also the Mayflower Project. So the Mayflower Project focuses on those who came over on the Mayflower specifically, and the Puritan Project focuses on those from specifically 1620 to 1640. Or 1621, sorry, 1621 and 1640. For those who came over in 1620 on the Mayflower, sorry, I got the I was off by a year. Those who came over in 1620 on the Mayflower go to the Mayflower Project, so that's specific. But anyone who's in that other window, the larger window, they're part of the Puritan Great Migration Project. So I'm going to use one of the new features that's been added recently to, wait a second, I have to get to the bottom here, of WikiTree of the browser extension. If you have the WikiTree browser extension, one of the options is you can turn on the option to show the table of degrees. And if you click on that button, so there's the list. I'm in one of the profiles, Anne's profile, and Bradstreet. And you can see all the people who are the profiles of the week and how they are connected to Anne. If you go to your own profile, you'll see at the bottom the list of all the profiles of the week and how you're closely connected to them. But they've added this new button here, and when you click on it, up pops this cool matrix, which shows how everyone is related to each other, which I think is very cool.
Wow.
And
I'm
in fact,
trying that.
What's that?
I am just trying that.
You're just trying that. Okay.
Just discovering.
And I thought it was so cool that I've decided to use this as my way to plan which profiles to show this week. So I took that and I've mapped out how we're going to go through the profiles.
Wow.
So we're going to start with the closest in that, and that would be Anne Dudley Bradstreet is only 3 degrees away from John Winthrop. And then we're going to find the closest one to John, which turns out to be John Endicott. And the closest one to him is Anne Hutchinson. The closest one to her is Mary Esty. And then so we go, and then we're just going to go travel all the way through from one loop to loop till we end with Alice Tilley.
Great.
And Roger William. Yes. Cool, eh? So thank you again for all those who program the WikiTree browser extension, because that's just some pretty cool stuff. And I'm going to show you another thing about the WikiTree browser extension at the end. Something I just learned about, which is something that's coming soon. So here we have Anne Dudley Bradstreet, born Anne Dudley, born in 1612 in Northampton, Northamptonshire, England. And she came over. She was her claim to fame is she's the first published woman poet. In fact, the first woman to write a book that was published in the New World. And she married Simon Bradstreet, who worked for the Massachusetts Bay Company. And in 1630, that's when they came over. They emigrated to America along with her family. Interesting. So in her work, one of her pieces of work, she said, "To my children," she writes about being afflicted with and then recovering from smallpox at the age of 16. And this is an interesting turn of phrase. "And after a short time, I changed my condition and was married and came into this country." So it's you almost read it as saying, "Well, I got married, and so I got rid of smallpox," or
Yeah, I went from smallpox to married.
Yeah, that's right. Here we go.
Yeah,
interesting. Anyways, so again, a really nice profile here. First book written by a woman to be published in America. And there's a number of things, and they've actually included one of the poems, To My Dear and Loving Husband by Anne Bradstreet, which is quite sweet. So I recommend you check that out. So she is only 3 degrees from John Winthrop. In fact, John is her brother's wife's father, or her brother's father-in-law, I guess. So her brother's father-in-law is John Winthrop, and his claim to fame, again, he was born in England and came to Massachusetts Bay, is that he was the governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Second governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, 6th governor, 9th governor, 12th governor. He was governor a lot. A lot of governors. But you can see it sort of goes back and forth. So it went from John Endicott to him, to Dudley, then Henry Vane, then back to Dudley, then Bellingham, again back to Endicott, and Dudley, then Endicott. It's like they were playing a game of hot potato or something. I don't know. Maybe being governor wasn't that much fun.
You.
Yeah,
now
that's
me.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, he studied Cambridge, came to Fortune. Yeah, one of the leading figures in the Massachusetts Bay. Deeply religious man. There we go. And so his closest one, he's 4 degrees away from John Endicott. Now, you might have thought, well, that name sounded familiar. Did I not just read that to you? Yes, he was one of the other governors. So turns out the other governor was his son's daughter's husband's father. So that means his granddaughter's father-in-law was his closest. So John Endicott, his granddaughter's father-in-law, was also a governor. In fact, he was the first governor. Remember, the guy we just talked about was second governor. So this is the first one. And then he was also, again, 10th, 13th, 15th, 17th. He hit it 5 times.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, an interesting note here. Endicott 47 and Endicott 21 are not duplicates, possibly half siblings, both named John. Ooh, that would be confusing, wouldn't it? Half siblings with the same first name. Yikes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in the family.
That's right, yeah. So again, and he immigrated in 1628, became part of the Massachusetts Bay, and then governor.
And what's with the pear tree?
So apparently there is a pear tree named after him. And why is that? Fruit trees. He was known to have extensively cultivated his farm, including the establishment of apple and pear orchards. So not only was he a governor, he was a cultivator. And he grew, and so there some pears were named after him that he cultivated. So that's pretty cool. So his closest connections is 7 degrees from Anne Hutchinson. And this gets a little more complicated, going through a few different marriages. So I won't name that specific relationship because it's a little complex. But Anne Hutchinson, who is a distant cousin of mine, apparently, born in Lincolnshire in 1591, died at the age of 52 in New Netherland, which I think is where New York is now, isn't it? New Netherlands?
I have no idea.
It's I'm pretty sure that's, in fact, actually, now I remember what happened. So so she was a Puritan woman, came over. Let's see, where does it say when she came over? She was also a Puritan woman, spiritual advisor, mother of 15. Now we only have 14 listed here, so I don't know who we left off. And strong religious convictions, and she stood against staunch religious orthodoxy of the 17th century Massachusetts. She was an important participant in the antinomian controversy that shook the Massachusetts Bay Colony from 1636 to 1638. Yes, so there's a huge controversy, and she was part of it. Now, she wasn't the only one, but she was one of the primary vocalists about this. Other people involved were John Cotton and Henry Vane and John Wheelwright. But basically, the controversy was there were sort of two schools of religious thought at the time. The prevailing one was that the important thing was that you did good works, and you followed rules and structures as set out by the governor and by the church and whatnot. And her feeling, or her religious conviction, came to her that grace was more important than works, or that you achieve salvation through grace and through personal faith revelations, as opposed to what the hierarchy tells you and stuff. And so that was not really popular with the hierarchy. Yeah. I'm simplifying it there, but that's basically it. It was grace and personal faith versus works and the church. So that made her unpopular. Now, she wasn't hanged or anything for that, but she was exiled from the community, and so she had to leave Boston. She lived in Rhode Island for a bit, and then she moved to what is now the Bronx, New York, but back then was called New Netherlands.
I found that.
What's that?
New Netherlands. The New Netherlands spanned parts of what is now New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Connecticut, and Delaware.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
Yeah.
In 1614.
Yeah. Sadly, when she was there, she and many of her children were massacred in 1643. There was a massacre that carried out in the village, the Annie's Hook, which is in present-day Rodman's Neck, near the Bronx, New York City. And if you look at the list of her children, you'll see a bunch of them. 1643 was when the massacre took place. Francis, Samuel, Anne, Catherine, William, and Zuriel.
Just a few survived. 3?
Just a few,
4?
yeah.
3 or 4.
Edward survived, yeah, just a few, yeah. And some had passed away earlier, like Elizabeth and William had already passed away as young children. So yeah, it's very sad. One of them, Anne, was living with her husband at the time with them, and that couple also passed away. So that's a sad ending to her life.
Wow.
Then her closest is Mary Esty, and only 2 branches away. So through her son's wife is the connection there. Mary Esty was born in Norfolk, England, came over in 1634. Oh no, that's when she was christened in 1634. She emigrated in the mid 1630s. So obviously she was still there in England in 1634, so sometime after that. And she didn't get married till 1656. I guess that would make her 22 when she got married. But sadly, she was hanged as a witch as part of the Salem witch trials. So yeah, she passed away at age 58 in Salem, Massachusetts. So she was accused by some of the young children in the village of being a witch. Of course, she maintained her innocence, but things were stacked against her. The profile goes through a lot of detail, so it's interesting. It's disturbing, but it's interesting to read. But she was hanged as a witch, along with a number of other people on that day as well. So very sad. One of the things it does say is, though, that, where is it here? In 1710, years later, the conviction was reversed. So the claim that she was a witch was reversed. And then there was some compensation given to survivors the next year. And then there was a decree that there should be no disgrace to descendants of people who had been accused of being witches. And then there were some additional victims added to that list, but that she was already on the original list. So interesting, but though disturbing piece of history. Wow. Yeah. She's closely connected to John Cotton through a couple of different marriages there. And John, distant cousin, was a reverend, born in Derbyshire, England, 1585, lived to be 67 in Boston, 1652. let's see, he was a vicar in Lincolnshire, and then he departed for New England in 1633. He ran an informal seminary for recent Cambridge graduates. He was a nonconformist, and so he was inclined with the Puritan spirit and hence felt drawn to the New World. Then, of course, so it goes into details of how he left and came here. He was a preeminent minister and theologian of the Massachusetts Bay colony. But he became involved in that controversy, the one I talked about earlier, grace versus works sort of thing. Yeah. So he was, he was involved in that. And then we move on from him to Robert Treat. Again, 3 different branches to connect him. Robert Treat was a governor of Connecticut. That's his claim to fame. Born in Somerset, England, and baptized there in the 25th of February, either 24 or 25. I'm not sure why. The 1624, 1625, but let's see what the dates say. No, that's just from the genealogy. They were early settlers in Connecticut. He settled there in 1639, became one of the leaders of the New Haven colony. And then there's some more details about things that happened and different offices he held. Moving on from him to John Eliot. And Reverend John, the Indian Apostle. So that's an interesting term. He was born in Whitford, Herefordshire, England, and lived at Nazing as a boy, or Nazing. I'm not sure exactly. I would guess Nazing. And baptized in 1604. Entered Jesus College, Cambridge. Spent part of the time between 1622 and 1635 in a private little school. He arrived in Boston, Massachusetts in 1631, became a minister and a teaching elder at the First Church. He also took part in the trials of Anne Hutchinson. He disapproved, sure, he was on the other side, disapproved of her views. And he also worked with indigenous leaders such as Waban, Massachusetts, and John Spreen from Nipmuc to establish a place on the Bend in the Charles River, one of the first praying towns established by Eliot. His aim was to convert the local native people, which were drawn to the towns for safety. Yeah, interesting. And there's a plaque.
Cool images.
Yeah, very neat. Yeah. Then he is 5 degrees away from the next, Thomas Hooker, who has obviously a huge obelisk here with a lot. Another reverend who migrated to New England during the Puritan. He was called the father of American democracy, which is interesting. And he came over, let's see, in 1635. Let's see, did he come over? No, he came over in 1633 and was appointed to the colony of Connecticut as General Court of Massachusetts in 1635. He led a congregation west to a settlement in Hartford, Connecticut. He left Massachusetts because he didn't agree with John Winthrop, who we'd already talked about, I think. Created the Old Connecticut Path, settled, and also took part in that trial. Interesting, some of his descendants, including William Howard Taft, Gillette from the Gillette Company, and J.P. Morgan.
Oh.
J.P. Morgan, yeah. And this, let's see, what's this? Founders Monument. So he's part of the Hartford Founders Monument. So his name will be on here somewhere. 5 degrees from William Pynchon is he. And William Pynchon, born in Springfield, Essex, England, in 1590, lived to be age 72 in 1662 in Wraysbury, Buckinghamshire, England. So he emigrated from Essex about 1630, and the first person admitted in 1632 to the Roxbury Church at Roxbury, Massachusetts. And then he moved to Springfield in 1636. married twice. So he was founder of Roxbury, or settled in Roxbury, and was one of the founders. And when did he get back? He authored the first book burned. Now, we talked about the first woman to have her book published. This is the first book that was burned. A slightly different distinction that you might. The Meritorious Price of Christ's Redemption, which ended up being the first book burned. That's unfortunate. And maybe not surprising, he then returned to England. I'm thinking after that, you'd be a little disheartened, wouldn't you?
I'm taking my book with me.
I'm taking my book with me. Yeah, I hope he made a copy before he left. Yeah. William Pynchon is 8 degrees from Alice Tilley. Alice Tilley, born in 1594 in Stansted, Suffolk, England, passed away at the age of 73 in March of 1668 in Barnstable, Plymouth Colony. She stayed. I guess her books weren't burnt. She got married. Her age was, so it says she was born and baptized around 1594, and that there's some distinction, there's some controversy about ages there. Married in 1612, and then she married a second time after her first in 1640 to William Tilley. Let's see. She was a prominent midwife, ran afoul of the authorities, resulting in a number of petitions for her support signed by dozens of others. There was evidence, let's see. There was evidence that late in their lives, Alice may have left William, her husband, for lack of support. That's too bad. He petitioned the court, who ordered that they remain living together. But punished for not doing so would be £40 for him and imprisonment for her. That's unfortunate. But she was alive as late as 1668.
Oh, we have a comment from Willie Dean saying that maybe the controversy, or that's what I'm guessing, is because of the use of the old calendar, the Julian calendar,
right,
and the change of the beginning of the year.
Right. Yes, that's right. I knew that. I knew there was a point. I just didn't remember that was the year that was happening. So that makes sense. Thank you, Willadine, for clarifying. And our last, not our first, the opposite of that. Oh, look at this. One little blip. It was almost a direct link from Alice Tilley to the last profile, Roger Williams, but there's one little marriage in between. And Roger Williams, who's another distant cousin, another Reverend Roger Williams, president of the Rhode Island colony, was born in London, but we don't have an exact date. So they've got an estimated date there. And he lived to be 77 years old in the colony of Rhode Island and Providence plantations. So his godfather was his uncle. Some details about his birth and early life. And then what did it say when he came over? He married in 1629. He was in England. There it is. He migrated in 1631. So 1631, he arrived. Initially in Plymouth, then back to Salem, and finally to Providence, Rhode Island by 1636. He established what would become Rhode Island, having been banished from Salem and Plymouth for the quality of his preaching. Oh no. Does that mean he was a poor preacher and they said, get out of here. We don't want any second-class preachers? I don't know. No, it said the quality of it. That's too bad. His favorite theme was liberty of conscience and religious matters, and the civil magistrates have no power in the church. Yeah, I can see they didn't like that. Anyways, and there he was. So the Rhode Island colony. There's a neat little map. Always love it when there's a map.
Yes, I do.
And there you have the profiles of the week. 2 weeks of profiles.
Great. I saved these 2 comments for you.
Okay. Of course, Greg would do this.
about the connections.
Oh, the connection.
The diagram you did. And Ian says, Very Greg.
Very good.
People know you.
Apparently, yes. My reputation
Yes.
precedes
Well,
me.
let's move on to the profile makeover.
Excellent.
I want to share. I have to share on my screen.
Oh, okay. You're sharing your screen. There we go.
Yes. Am I
There we
showing?
go. I see question of the week.
Am I in question of the week?
You're scrolling up and down question of the week, and then there we go. Now I see your profiles. Yep.
Okay. Well, we'll see a makeover made by Karen Humber.
Can you zoom in a bit? Because
yeah, never mind.
No.
It's just for me to
I
read
see.
the name because I already had the photo. This is the before.
Okay.
Okay. Everyone would see this profile and would say that this is very complete. It has a couple of beautiful photographs. It has a bio, dates and places, and every relative, right? And this is perfectly fine. There are facts about where Ivy Mae Harriet Carter was born, the school she attended, and the marriage and death registers and dates and places. It's perfect. But Karen loved her grandmother so much that she wanted to really honor her memory and made quite a history for her. She's a storyteller. So she tells us the story of her grandmother. She was born in 1900 in South Australia. She shares a picture of her school. She and her sister attended the Sturt Street Primary School in Adelaide. And then we can see the school and we have an idea of what it looked like. Then she shares this group photo. This is the whole family. They were 7. You see, there are 2 kids right here at the bottom. They were 7 children. And this picture was taken by his father, John Henry Amos, when he served in World War I to keep them close. And Karen shares this photo that her grandmother had. And these are family friends. Look, he looks like a Hollywood actor.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yes, I think that's why she kept this picture.
It's wonderful.
Suspecting. And we can tell a lot about Ivy's life just from this text. She says Ivy worked as a waitress, and Ivy always told her about how hard work it was to work in a cafe. And she also says that Ivy, I guess she was kind of shy. This is what I suppose from the text. But she says from this photo, I recall my mother saying that Ivy had scratched the photograph of her face. Do you see?
Oh, no.
She scratched it. So you can tell she may have been very shy.
Yeah.
From this. So we can really get to know her from this story. And there they are, Ivy and Stan, her husband. They always gather for birthday lunches, she said. So this was her birthday in 1986. So there's the whole story, and she says that Ivy made the best desserts. Her favorites were cream curls, mushrooms, as she would call them. And here's a little recipe: little cups of pastry shaped like a mushroom top, filled with homemade jam, and a slice of banana as the mushroom stalk, and the top of the pastry dusted with cocoa. That's great. We love this kind of stories. It's very fun to read, and the pictures just make it shine, right? And Ivy passed away at 86. Well, and she says, after my mom passed away in 2003, I had her ashes moved to rest with my mom and my sister. So beautiful story. Thank you, Karen, for sharing with us. This was very lovely. I really like the photos. And now what was just a profile, now it's a biography and made with love. You can see that she loved
That's wonderful.
her nan.
That is great.
Beautiful. That's what you can accomplish by joining the Profile Makeover Challenge.
Excellent.
Okay. So back. How do I stop sharing now?
Okay, we can just do it.
I don't see the.
There we go.
Okay.
I just removed
Thank
it.
you.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
I removed the button.
No problem. So should we talk about what's happening around WikiTree?
Please.
Is that where are we near the end? So what's happening around WikiTree in October? So we are now on the 12th of October. So we've already gone through the question of the week with ancestors, connection checkers. That's one we've done. So we are here. We did a Hacktoberfest chat last Thursday, and we'll have another one coming up. And I'm going to talk briefly about that in a sec. But there's weekend chat going on now. The Saturday sourcing sprint, as always, is happening this Saturday. There was a great bingo last night. We're doing the roundup now. The question of the week will show up along with the 52 ancestors. I don't have the page with the social media. I didn't get that ready in time. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry for that, Lisa and Azure for that.
I'll see if I can get it.
The Alabama Challenge is coming up at noon, and then we have a Global Genealogy Spotlight, Data Doctors Challenge coming up, another Connection Checkers next week, and there's a Puritan Research Party to go along with our theme, so that's very cool. The Watchless Weevil Challenge will happen on the 16th, which is 4 days from now, on Wednesday Watchless Weevils. And then we have another Hacktoberfest chat next Thursday, and we start the cycle all over again. So this past Thursday, during the Hacktoberfest broadcast, which happens from 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, till it's roughly about an hour, give or take. A little bit less, I think, this week. We actually had Jeff Crew came on, and he showed us what the work that he had done on the B extension, which allows you to look at your tree on Ancestry and notice whether you have those Ancestry tree members in WikiTree or not. So it shows, it adds a little icon in bright orange if that Ancestry person is on WikiTree, or if it's close enough that it thinks that it's the same person. Now, of course, you have to double check all of that. And then the ones that aren't there have a dull gray little icon, so you know which profiles you need to add. So
it's like a Jet Compare.
It's sort of like a Jet Compare.
Something like
in that regard, yeah. And then if you use the WikiTree Sourcer app, extension, I should say, then you could actually create the profile from Ancestry too. So it's a very cool addition he's made to the B extension. So I recommend you all watch the video from last week to see that. And also on that video, we did a quick demonstration of the
Sleepy Tree.
The Slippy Tree, yes.
Yeah.
So here is my great-grandfather. And he is, I'm going to go into tree apps, and because the last one I used was the Slippy Tree, it's going to open up the Slippy Tree, and woo, there's his Slippy Tree.
Wow.
It's very cool. So there's Herbert Lionel, and all his children. And the blue connections are his connections to the children. The pink ones are his wife's connection. And in this case, they all had the same kids. There wasn't multiple marriages, but if there were, then you'd see the different lines and the thickness of the line is based on how closely connect, or whether they're confirmed by DNA. If you click on this little help menu there, that sort of gives you the decoder, all the different things. And it's so powerful because it's all that information is encoded visually in this diagram. So I'm not going to show you anything more about that because I suggest you go to the Hacktoberfest recording. But if you want a sneak preview of next week's Hacktoberfest, one of the things we're going to talk about is a brand new feature that's added to the WikiTree browser extension, but it's only in the preview version right now. So when the preview version gets updated to the full version on November 1st, this function will be in the live WikiTree browser extension. But if you want to practice it or you want to try it, then go to the preview version of the WikiTree browser extension. And what it is the help page, the free space page for the WikiTree browser extension, which is something I recommend you all look at because it gives you all the details of how to use the browser extension, all the different features. There's the installation instructions, and it goes through all the different features. And which feature was I just at now? Family lists? No, that wasn't it. I'm looking for the word vertical. Oh, wait a second. I think that I just went by there. Change family list. I'm going to show you with one example. What Ian has done, it's live now in the preview version of the browser extension, is that embedded in this free space page are pictures of what the controls look like when you open up the control from here. Okay. Okay. And they're larger so that people in LiveCasts like me can show it off and you can read it much more easily. So that's pretty cool, right? So then you don't have to squint at this screen because I can't make that screen any larger because it's part of the browser. But what's even cooler is that these are live controls. So I'm going to show the options. So this change family lists is one of the options that I use a lot. One of the top one is to move to the right-hand column. So if I'm going to go back to my my relative here, I'm going to go back to the basic tree. Okay. So wait a second. Oh, I hit the wrong button. You see how all the people are on the right-hand list there. Okay. That's this option here. If I click that off, and then I reload Herbert Lionel. Okay, I don't want the ancestors. All of a sudden, they're no longer in the right-hand list. And if if I say I don't want them vertical, and then I hit reload, then they come in the default standard. So you can play with read about all of the features, play with them here, and then the next time you go to a profile, it's going to be live. So it's going to be much easier to navigate and find out, what functions you want to look at. Plus, it'll be easier for people like me who want to show off new features of the browser extension because I've got something that's very legible and easy to read. You could do the exact same thing from the control when you open up the browser extension and go to profile and family lists. So I don't know if you can see, this is the exact same thing. It's just that it's larger. Same thing. Anyways, I thought that was very cool. Great work, Ian.
And that's in the free space page, in the help page.
Yes, the help page. Yeah. So if you go to get to that, when you open up the settings for the browser extension, when you click it up here in the top corner, you hit any of these question marks and it will automatically open up the free space page. In fact, it'll open up exactly to whatever setting you hit the question mark for. And then you can navigate anywhere through the free space page, the help page.
Oh, we have a question.
Okay,
what
so
was
that's
the name of the extension?
B extension, the one that looks like a bee.
B.
That one, the B extension.
That was fast.
And that one is nice and big and easy to see. So
Great.
There you have it. That's what happened this past week, and a sneak preview of what you're going to see on the Hacktoberfest coming up on Thursday, along with other things. That'll be fun.
Yes.
So thank you all for coming out. Thank you, Vicky, for sticking with me.
Thank you.
Not bailing.
Of course.
No.
Never,
Betsy has
never.
students to teach. It was very important that she.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
We know.
Congratulations, Ian. Yes, and indeed. Very good. And Murray for suggesting that. So great stuff, everyone. Have a great week, and we will see you here next weekend.
Bye. See you.
Bye.
Great weekend for all.
Let's see. And we're going to